Hi there, strikers. There's something uniquely disturbing about people vanishing into thin air. Read about these incredibly strange, unsolved cases. Although these disappearances span centuries, locations, age ranges, and circumstances, there's one common thread shared between them: a lack of closure. There are theories, speculations, and investigations, but never a decisive answer. On our incoming episode, I'm going to feature some of the cases of mysterious disappearances, of some missing that just disappear without any trace. The mystery of a milk carton. Beginning in the early 1980s, advertisements on milk cartons in the United States were used to publicize cases of missing children. The printing of such ads continued until the late 1990s, when other programs became more popular for serving the same purpose. Contemporary popular media portrayed the practice in fiction, often in a satirical manner. This tale tells their story of Bonnie Lochmann, a sweet 7-year-old girl who lived an unconventional life with her mother and father. Her life was changed forever when she spotted a milk carton that made her stop in her track. Bonnie was a typical kid who was naturally curious and loved to play. But unlike most children her age, she had never been to school. Her upbringing was atypical, but she was oblivious to the fact that she was unlike others. She had led a rather nomadic lifestyle, living with her parents in Hawaii and then on the tiny island of Saipan. This relatively unknown place was part of the Northern Mariana Islands, that is a U.S. Commonwealth in the Pacific Ocean. It has a tiny population of fewer than 60,000 and is known for its sandy beaches and mountainous landscapes. There was a little-known battle here in 1944, but most people don't even know of its existence. Eventually, after living in basic shacks and enjoying island life during her early years, the small family of 3 settled in Colorado and lived a quiet and unassuming life. Bonnie filled her days with toys and games, playing on her own or with her parents, and on a few rare occasions at her neighbor's house in their small neighborhood. It was a simple and fun childhood with no drama and very little excitement. She was rarely allowed to go outside, but she knew no different. Bonnie was a happy girl and she didn't know what she was missing out by not going to school. She didn't know how to read or write and couldn't do basic arithmetic. Not that she was aware of what other children her age were doing. The one place Bonnie was allowed to visit that always made her happy. Colorado was a fun place for Bonnie, even though it lacked the beaches that she'd grown up with during her time on the 2 islands. Her parents loved her dearly and she had settled well in their new home. Even though she wasn't allowed outside very often, she looked forward to the rare occasions where she was allowed to join one of her parents on a trip to buy groceries. Bonnie always looked forward to those outings and would stare at all the items in the grocery store. She loved all the colorful packaging, even though she couldn't read what was written on them. A rare trip outdoors made Bonnie light up. But she knew she had to behave. One day, Bonnie's father called out that it was time for another grocery trip and Bonnie was allowed to go with him. Her face lit up and she raced to put her shoes on. As they made their way to the store, Bonnie took in the sights and sounds around her. She loved these adventures, especially as they happened so infrequently. She savored every moment she was out and about with her dad. Bonnie knew to be on her best behavior or she wouldn't be allowed to come out on future excursions. Bonnie spots something that stops her in her tracks as Bonnie headed down the various aisles in the convenience store. She took in all the colors and shapes of the food and drink wrapping. She headed to the cool refrigerated section and looked at the numerous rows of yogurts, creams and milk carton. Bonnie recognizes the person in the photo, but what would her father think? The black and white image was that of a girl who was much younger than Bonnie. Unbeknownst to her, the girl in the photo was 3 years old. It didn't take long for Bonnie to realize that this girl on the side of the milk carton was a younger version of herself. She was mesmerized. She waited for her father to approach the dairy section and excitedly pointed up at the carton with sheer delight. She hoped he would be as delighted as she was about this amazing discovery. She wanted to take a closer look. Would her father let her have this incredible find? Bonnie held her breath. Her father remained silent and handed the carton to her. She loved seeing a photo of herself displayed so prominently on the packaging. This was one of the most exciting things to have happened in her short life, and she was thrilled. She begged her father to buy it for her. He looked at her for a long time before making his decision. After what felt like an eternity, a smile went across his face and he said he'd buy it for her. But it would come with one very strict condition. Her father asked Bonnie to do one important thing, but would she obey? When they came back home, the pair sat in the kitchen and drank from the special carton. Bonnie could not stop staring at the photograph and felt famous. Her father gave her a stern stare and told her that he would cut out the image so long as she promised to do one thing. He would let her keep the photo, but only if she swore she would never show it to anyone else, not even her mother. Bonnie would do anything to have the photo in her possession, so she quickly swore to her father that she would keep the promise. Her father's decision that would change everything. Bonnie was used to following rules and keeping secrets. Her father knew that if Bonnie made a promise, she would keep it. She had proven herself repeatedly in the past, so he had no reason to think she was lying to her. She didn't ask him about any of the words on the carton, just staying transfixed on the photograph. When the carton was empty, her dad grabbed a pair of scissors and carefully cut the whole side of the carton out for her. She had no idea that the word missing was on the photo she'd been given. Bonnie treasured the photo but had no idea that it was so important. Bonnie was too young to know about the milk carton campaign and was just delighted to have been given the photo to keep in her possession. She obeyed her father's wishes and kept it hidden from everyone, including her mom. The delightful young girl went back to her usual day of playing and using her imagination to while away the hours. She was proud that she didn't say anything to her mother when she came back home, and knew that her father would be pleased that she was following his strict rule. Bonnie was so happy, and the photo went everywhere with her. And this is the first part of our future story. See you on the last part.